Hello, and welcome to another episode of my subconscious gaming series. I'm going to sort of be looking at games and how they subconsciously affect what we're thinking. In this one, this is one of my favourite games. This is The Hunter, The Call of the Wild. And I just want you to sort of relax for this one and enjoy some of the really, really beautiful, immersive scenes. And I encourage you to try this game if you never have. I haven't really experienced anything quite like it. So in this episode, just look around, look at that, it's incredible. I'm going to sort of be talking more, as always, about capitalism. That's kind of my main focus here. The simulation effects present in this game, and then touching on things like free will and decision making, and how that's sort of presented. So what you'll see me here doing is just getting some more ammunition. A huge part of this game is spending your in-game currency on the correct sort of caliber of bullet or cartridge, and this affects how you shoot animals, basically. And the more sort of efficient it is, you have to use sort of the right round for the right animal, and they're sort of in a tier list. It depends on how much money and how many points you get for those kills. So here you can just look at the sort of the meta that's present in this game, the simulation of real hunting, the sort of attention to detail. And already you're starting to see perhaps the capitalist agenda sliding in, where everything is quantified and turned into value in terms of money, which literally becomes the only purpose in this game, to generate money. Despite that, I do love this game, and as I said, I'd encourage you to play it. So the thing we're talking about is morality in games, particularly in this game with innocent animals. It sort of presents a strange choice complex about whether to kill something or not. I'm going to argue that do you potentially have to buy out of the capitalist market in this game? Because progression without money is almost impossible. There are some simulation dilemmas, which I was just talking about. So there's these issues that you face because you know it's a simulation. You make different choices than you would perhaps in real life. The main issue really is the exoticization of these reserves as a place for human exploitation, which is ironic because it's sold as the complete opposite. It's sold as a retreat from your capitalist city-focused life. And it's meant to be harmonious with nature and getting back to the way things are supposed to be, like a natural sort of survival approach. But there's no equality or survival, no harmony. It's simply just mindless exploitation. It's power and control, even more so than in other games, over less intelligent life. It's effectively just an ego booster, which is quite sad, really, and sadistic. So here I've just come across a moose, which I'm going to shoot. I'm just using the rangefinder to check the distance, and then in the bottom right you'll see me change to 150 meters in a second before I take the shot. So I'm aiming for the heart because the game encourages you to get the quick kill bonus, things like that, and vital hits on organs will just going to pause a second. Yeah, so vital hits will determine a better kill, and you'll get more money. So there we go, taking the shot, he runs off. So as you may have seen, when I discovered them, it registered as a drinking zone on my map. So I'll be able to now look back at that and find where these animals go to drink at a particular time of the day. So the whole game is engineered around this idea of efficiency. So you can make money as quickly as possible because you know where animals are going to be and when they sleep, when they eat, etc. So that you can go there and hunt them to make more money. So it's making the whole system efficient. So the gameplay is encouraging you immediately to kill for money. I'm at quite a late point in the game. I've put quite a few hours, a shameful amount of hours into this game. But even from the start, you're encouraged to kill for money. And it's disguised under this sort of umbrella of culling or protection or the greater good, and justifying sort of violence to produce a future result. You're not encouraged to take each interaction sort of individually, but as part of this greater whole. You don't decide whether to shoot based on the current situation, but based on the predetermined need. So it's not survival, that goes out of the window, or self-defense, or even sport, in my opinion. It's basically premeditated murder of animals under this sort of guise of bureaucracy. As you can see there, I just got money and experience for that kill. So early on you meet these characters and contractors in the game who ask your help in getting kills for various reasons. and it must be said that the missions do explore the undeniable beautiful aspects. As you can see here, look at this shot, it's incredible. And playing it is even more immersive and amazing. You are encouraged to go out into nature and take photographs of animals and landmarks, things like that, and you will gain money for that, but not nearly as much in other ways. And here I'm sort of come across these moose, and I'm going to talk later about the moral dilemma. This seems too easy to me, and at this point in the game, I don't need the money either. So I choose to take a picture, and now I'm just showing you how easy. I've got slug shotgun shells here. This would take these down very easily. 2 shots here. And I sort of have this moral dilemma because it feels almost sadistic, because it's a game, because it's a simulation. There's no real benefit to killing them anymore. So I just decided to leave them. But that's just me. And I think that's quite interesting, that sort of conjures a choice in me, whereas in other games you just shoot without thinking, really. But yeah, so as I was saying, these other methods of gaining money, taking photographs and things, are usually the means to the same end. You always end up hunting anyway in the missions. So you go on the trail of missing persons, for example, or hikers, and it always ends in having to kill some kind of animal. Or culling, or curation for museums, that kind of thing. So progression in the game revolves around buying weapons and gear to make killing more efficient. You sort of catch yourself drooling over expensive weapons, and so I'm being attacked by a boar here. And you're sort of excited by their killing potential and their efficiency. So any motivation to sort of protect wildlife or maintain balance of nature, any moral compass, sort of fades in comparison to this drive to attain higher tier weaponry as quickly as possible, which basically just demands more and more killing to make money. So even if, like me, you take your first kills quite personally and you sort of feel like you've killed something innocent and real, you're quickly seasoned to treat the animals as a resource. They're just a form of currency and personal gain to grind in the game. So the level system reflects this as well, not just monetarily, your experience. So some gear is restricted by your level rather than money. And so you can't obtain certain weapons without killing animals to gain this level and experience. So you must be sort of a seasoned, indifferent hunter in order to gain those levels. So this the idea of choice and moral compass that you might have been carrying around, it's just gone out the window. It's also heavily political, in my opinion. So the portrayals of the Western reserves, which you won't see here, but I'll show you in the presentation, they're sort of calm and tranquil and very pleasant. They're beautiful, and your hunting is sold to you as this escape from the bustle of everyday life. It's all very get back to nature and survival, and there's something sort of quite male as well. I'm not going to talk about that too much. But yeah, this is getting back to the way things are supposed to be, like a raw, natural comfort. And I just showed you there, stopping at a monument to inspect, which you can gain experience for. And here I'm going to take a picture, which is one mission to gain money, just taking pictures of this fishing village for some reason. But you saw the Russian star on that thing, which I'll come back to in a little bit. So moving through Europe, the sensation is much the same. The European reserves. There's a few tropes to make them sort of authentic. So yeah, the westernized reserves are very clearly one idea. And then you arrive at this map, which I've been playing now. It's called Medved Taiga or something. And it's very beautiful as well, sort of hits you with this harshness. But then the music, which you may or may not have heard at the beginning, is like something out of Chernobyl, if you've seen that series. It's uneasy and quite scary. And the missions from the very start are so stereotypical of Slavic and Russian or Eastern European stereotypes. Everything's run down, people don't trust each other, everyone's poor, people die, everything's dangerous. You have to sort of be careful what you say and who you help, and the allegiances you make might define what happens to you, even though this is nothing to do with the gameplay at all. So this is the idea again of the narrative and the gameplay being at odds with each other, because you don't interact with anyone, and there are no consequences at all to doing or not doing anything in this game that you're told to by the people. However, for some reason, the story in the game, the narrative, keeps telling you that these Russian people are untrustworthy, and you've got to be careful. You might be killed. So there's this air of sort of threat about it, which doesn't actually exist in the gameplay, but it's subconsciously telling you that that's what could happen. So yeah, some of the first missions even talk about this outbreak of anthrax, which kills animals and a person, because he eats a deer that had some of the anthrax in it. You have to investigate the cause and extent of this poisoning. So this idea of poisoning and evil is very Russian. It's very stereotypically Cold War-esque. And it only takes place on this map. It only takes place in the eastern sort of sphere in this reserve. And the missions are to stop the anthrax sort of contaminating the water supply. So you compare that to the American or European missions, where at one point you're even acting as a go-between for two other characters who are in love. So you see this huge contrast between the two narratives. It's completely different. So saying, yeah, this sort of thing doesn't happen in those, or at least nowhere near the sort of same overt scale. And they've added multiple maps as time goes on, and this is quite a big thing that I want to touch on here. So what's sort of most notable, though, is that there are 3 reserves for Northern America, 2 for Western Europe, while, for example, the entirety of South America, Africa, and Eurasia, they just receive 1 map, respectively. And they are bringing out more all the time, but that's all that exists at the moment. And all manner of tropes and stereotypes are thrown into these. I've only purchased this one at extra cost, a small amount, because it looks so beautiful in the snow, and I just wanted to play it, really. But yeah, they only have 1 map to take on these entire continents, arguably the largest continents on Earth. Meanwhile, the Western ones, the English-speaking ones, the Anglified ones, they have 2 or 3 maps to flesh out the sort of the culture and the reserves that they want to represent. So the fact that there's very few of these reserves in other areas, and the fact that they're so heavily stereotyped and typicalized, it just goes subconsciously to sort of serve as an explanation for what you should be feeling, really. You only hear one thing from each of these places. For example, Africa, everything's dangerous, there's poachers everywhere, everything's trying to kill you, and it's very stereotypical of what that environment may bring. And obviously the whole of Africa isn't like that, and it sort of typifies the what we all sort of expect from the Lion King. You see this sort of savanna and great plains, and that's about it, really. And then here, as I've explained, the Russian one, or it's Siberian, but it's the same kind of tone, obviously, does the same thing. The stereotypical tropes of danger written all the way through the story, this barren landscape that's harsh and could kill you at any moment, is only sort of present here, and not in the Western ones, as I've said. So I was very lucky here. This little string of kills I just put on the end of this video. Normally you can spend sort of hours wandering through bushes and not really doing much, but it is quite an enjoyable part of the game. Is really sort of getting immersed in a different environment, which is why I do love this game so much. But yeah, so thanks for listening. Afraid that's all I've got.